Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Social Marketing Show. It's your boy, Pat Hilton. Normally, I just do Mindset Monday and rant, but today I have expert Zach Hoffman from Exalts Marketing with me. Zach, how's it going, buddy?
Going excellent, Pat. Thanks for having me.
Zach?
Definitely picking up on our chat from this morning, right? Let's go.
Yeah, dude, it's awesome. And this is exactly what we've been talking about for months, and that's that just social media is taking over, and not only just social media, but live streaming. So you've got some really neat statistics that we were talking about. Will you drop those real quick to start this off? Because Jake Paul and Mike Tyson pretty much broke the internet over the weekend.
They broke the internet and they definitely put the nail in the coffin for traditional media as we know it today. Definitely proved that just traditional in essence is absolutely dead. So, essentially Netflix is claiming 60 million viewers tuning in just to the actual feed, right? Which means we know that there's an average of 2 to 3 people watching. Just say you give it 2.5. That's 150 million viewers of the Tyson Paul fight. I mean, literally the Super Bowl claims 120 million, and we know they're inflating that by a little bit. So you're telling me a Netflix live streamed event just surpassed the Super Bowl?
Unbelievable, dude. And it's like $12 a month for Netflix, which is practically nothing. And this is where it's all going. And that's why you and I and so many other digital CEOs, marketing CEOs, have to be on the internet, because it's the first place people look when they decide if they're going to do business with you or not. I mean, Jake Paul is fighting Mike Tyson. Logan Paul fought Floyd Mayweather, I want to say a year or two ago. The only reason why those guys had any kind of professional notoriety is because of social media.
Oh, and they're literally just grabbing onto his coattails, because he's just whole next level when it comes to social media and streaming. I mean, look at it this way. And the thing is like the audience we know is purely like Netflix is obvious. They have the audience hands down, but then followed by Facebook, Instagram, I mean, YouTube, like that's where the eyes are, not like OTT, like mystery, like maybe we'll reach your demographic. It's like people are watching, consuming media on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. You got some on X, but like those main platforms, that's where it's at. Those are like the Google searches of search. Like that's where people are consuming media on today's basis.
Totally. And it's so easy to do that you and I are live right now on Facebook, YouTube, and X. And I kind of use X just to be kind of funny, because I don't get a whole lot of traction there. But I think that Facebook and YouTube, especially for you and I, that demographic is our buying audience. 35 to 55 years old. Most of them are business owners. They need to be on social media. They need to be running ads. They need to have SEO like you offer. And they're not going to do it themselves. They need a team installed in their marketing division that can help them accomplish the goals that they want to accomplish in those different categories, right?
Yeah, I mean, not to jump to like where they are. It's like, where do people go to relax? Where do they go to like just rest their mind these days? Like they don't turn on the news like they used to of yesteryear. Like go check out what's on NBC or CBS. They don't even know how to get the viewers. They paid the NBA a record sum of money on declining viewership. What kind of business move is that? Like, seriously, you're going to go pay the NBA, and the NBA is totally divided from like, we're not going to go into politics, we promise that, but like their base is totally divided as to like what people are watching, how they're consuming.
Right.
So, investing in that on a declining viewership to try to like save your network or save the future of media just literally just doesn't make any sense on a business decision, right? And
the other thing is, don't you think people, if they are going to consume traditional media, they're going to go to a place like ESPN Sports Center because they get to see the clips? And this just goes right back to what we were talking about. Where are they pulling the clips from? They're pulling the clips from their Instagram page and this and that, or viewers, user-generated content, which is what we call it. That's our little guru term in media agency world, which is essentially like Zach Hoffman's user-generated content or Pat Hilton's user-generated content. So they'll take a clip from someone in the audience and say, here was the moment that everybody got to experience the World Series home run or whatever. And it's got the little users tag in the corner and they use it and they cite their source. Dude, ESPN radio was playing a song I made like 6 years ago for the St. Louis Blues when they beat the Boston Bruins. And they're like, I had never been on the radio, some comedy song I made. It's all user generated content and they're tagging people. It's crazy.
Even like Stephen A. Smith, who's one of the lead broadcasters on ESPN,
Yep.
I swear to you, his X posts and like what he posts on social media, one, the opinions are totally out there. Like literally the guy says the most ridiculous things when it comes to sports, in my opinion. And he's just out there on X, just like talking, 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 and they're amplifying, magnifying it. They know his audience is there and not necessarily on the live network watching it. I wouldn't even, I mean, I remember as a kid, I knew like on cable television, like what channel ESPN was. Like
Mm-hmm.
I barely even know how to get to it right now. If I was to turn on the broadcast TV.
And the only reason why I brought it up is because I was just at the gym and it just happens to be one of the TV screens that's on at the gym. I think it's the only thing that they even run because, like you said, when people go to the gym, they don't want to see MSNBC or Fox or CBS or ABC. They don't want to see it in the morning. It's sports related. You're at a fitness company. You're there to work out. And so everything that's on the TVs is like football replays or Sports Center or whatever. And I noticed that all the clips that they were playing was like from some kid in the college football audience's phone or this person, or it's a live stream from this. And it's all going back to the users like us. We've become the media.
Oh, it's the user experience. And even this morning when we were talking, I shared with you like on the phone, I took some pictures when I was at a sports bar this weekend where there's literally,
Mm-hmm.
I call them picture frames now. There's 6 picture frames. I mean, old television sets in the background where have their laptops set up, they have their mobile devices set up. And for what? So we could all stream Netflix and watch the fight this weekend. And I assure you, when somebody's at a sports bar right now trying to watch the game they want to watch, they have their device out. They're watching YouTube TV probably to
Mm-hmm.
watch the game they want to watch right in front of them.
Totally. And dude, I was at, I don't remember, a couple of years ago, it was a Super Bowl party at the neighbor's house with my wife and the kids, and they're all playing, and everyone was on their phone during the game. So everybody's on their phone being advertised to during the game. And then when the commercials are on, you're watching the commercials. And then when it's
Yep.
halftime, you're back on your phone. Like, dude, these companies, it's just as important to be advertising on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube during the Super Bowl as it is to actually be in a Super Bowl commercial because
Oh,
everybody's got their phone out.
well, I believe that part of the consumption measurement right now is how much people are catching on social media from that Super Bowl audience. Like it's not even about catching that like 30 seconds anymore. It's how do you take that 30 seconds and multiply it to minutes of engagement with your brand digitally? I've been saying this for years, and now we're just like we're in an environment where like Google's CEO said it best with AI. They said, we can't be caught underinvesting in this medium because they know where AI is going. Essentially, as a business owner, you can't be caught underspending on media for the internet because digitally we all know this is where the audiences are, and you're almost going to short proof yourself by over investing in media to like get consumers to consume where you know the audience is. And I would just love to see more advertisers creating 15-second 30-second spots like they would for traditional TV and taking digital seriously like that. And rather than like thinking like, how do I create a traditional media spot that's going to catch attention? No. How do you create a meta spot that's going to catch attention?
Mm-hmm.
A 3 second, a 15 second, a 30 second, like real consumption. We know where the audiences are. Why are we ignoring it? Why are advertisers ignoring it? It's amazing.
Well, maybe they're just uneducated on the fact, or they haven't seen enough people around them do it in the
I mean,
medium that
yeah.
we discuss all the time. Because listen, we're marketers. So this kind of
Mhm.
stuff, it almost seems like common sense to us. Just like if I was a fitness trainer and I had jacked six pack, well, it's easy for me. And it seems like it's so basic for me, but the user experience, they need it broken down and they need the foundational elements. They need the macros. They need the calories. They need this. Whereas
Yeah.
an advanced fitness trainer, he's like, well, I know what my maintenance is. Okay, well, we don't. And so in
It's true.
marketing terms, we have to be like, all right, well, you got to post your organic every day, and then you want to boost something every week and have an offer. And so we're going to have to understand that, again, the user has to have that broken down for them. And for what you do with paid advertising, you got to have something organic to put into your machine. So explain the difference, because you know this very well,
Mhm.
between paid and organic. You got to have organic content to boost something, but if you really want to go to drive sales and conversions and measure it very, very well, paid is definitely a different playing field for that.
Correct. I mean, organic is creating that static content, those elements that are going to live with you today and tomorrow. Sponsored paid ads are like what's going to float it, get you more impressions or garner the audience like immediately. But they have to be synchronized, right? So you need that like non-paid organic content to then float with the paid ads as well. And, we have numerous conversations about like, just you need to be investing in content production. Like content production is it's that next level thing that you need to be doing.
Well, and you were talking about attorneys because you work with a lot of attorneys, and there was a lot of attorneys. And I love that you brought this up because growing up in St. Louis, this was 35 years ago when I was a little kid. There was this
Yeah.
guy who advertised really, really well. They're called Brown and Crouppen. I'll just say who they are. And everyone in St. Louis knows who Brown and Crouppen. Hi, I'm Terry Crouppen with Brown and Crouppen and blah, 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 blah. If you've had an accident or this or that, everybody knew those commercials. And
Yep.
now that company is still around. That guy used to work out because St. Louis, small town with a big heart, is what I always call it. Everybody knows everybody. That guy used to work out at the same place I did, and now he's all over Instagram, he's all over Facebook, he's all over YouTube. And so I think that the people that are used to advertising are also used to understanding that you have to be omnipresent. You got to be everywhere. You want to be on
Uh,
the phone. You want to be on the TV. You want to be here. You want to be there. You want to be everywhere. Doritos doesn't just advertise on Super Bowl commercials. They're advertising constantly everywhere.
oh yeah. It's just it all comes down to proportions and percentage, right? Like where is that media mix going? Where's that media allocation going? And there's always like that last attribution that advertisers love to hold different mediums accountable for. The thing is we don't see a lot of advertisers and marketers treating digital impression-based viewership or just like garnering traffic from digital impressions the same way as they would treat a measurement if they ran a TV ad or a billboard or a bus bench. Like they look at that and they're just like, they let it have this like absentee ROI. Whereas if you took those same dollars and resources, you would literally be the king of social media.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I mean, if you took a $50,000 budget or $100,000, $250,000 a month budget, and you just threw it strictly at meta ads and YouTube ads, and you
Bro,
just
you
said,
would blow
I just
people
want to
out of the
target my
water.
Oh, you're just like, I just want to target my geographic location, like, and build my brand, not necessarily going to be accounting for, direct response on that. I mean, you would absolutely have to, like, you would crush it. And then with that budget, also just create content throughout your town where you're just like crafting it specifically for your marketplace. You're going to just get so many eyes, so much traction. It's just going to start to like build up, dramatically.
Well, and especially with that kind of an ad spend, I mean, these big corporations that are spending that kind of money on, like you said, billboards. I mean, holy cow. We talked about this too. I think this is a good point from my perspective because I'm an organic guy. A lot of people that are organic guys like me, we didn't have any money to run ads. We had to
Mhm.
use social media to get people's attention. And so the digital entrepreneurs and the celebrity entrepreneurs that I ran into 6 or 7 years ago that were loving my stuff were like, dude, if you're doing this at this pace, 7, 8, 9 years from now, you're really going to crush it. And so the Gary V's and the Grant Cardones, those were the guys that I got advice from. And I mean, those guys are everywhere now. Ed Milet. Ed Milet's one of the number one speakers on the planet now. And in 2018, people were just finding out who he was because of these platforms. And the other thing we talked about was when you're posting on Instagram or you're spending money on content creation, that lives forever. or in your case, like you
Yeah.
say, like YouTube and SEO and all the things that you do, those pieces of content live forever. If you pay for a TV advertisement, it disappears after you stop spending money.
Oh, but the best one that you had mentioned was trust factor, right? You hit the nail on the head when you talked about trust of mediums today. I mean, look, when a post goes viral, like everybody has to go on and like discredit a post if it's like really not authentic information. Like
Mm-hmm.
I think we saw that recently. Elon Musk supposedly bought Ford, right? We saw that. I don't know if you saw that post, but they had to go out there and like totally discredit it and disjoin itself from like social media aspects. I'm not going to go into like Costco. Everybody knows like the news that they had to like, discredit like bulk purchases from when it comes to like certain items. But my point is like the trust factor. You said it to me best. You're like, Zach, like, I don't even know if people trust traditional media as much.
I
Like
don't think
they
they
are tr
do. They just don't anymore. They've the way that they cover stuff, number one, and the way that they edit stuff and the way that they do it, that's why they've used the user to pull the user up
Mhm.
on screen, because you can believe the Florida Gators kid that posted something of people rushing on the field. It makes you feel like you were there rather than just going from the pro cameras from the ABC broadcast or whatever. It makes you feel like you were actually in the stands with that guy. And I think that when you talk to a camera or you do this, like we're doing, you chop it up,
Yeah.
you share it like we're going to do, you're able to get a little bit more insight to the human being behind the camera. And it doesn't come off as much like an advertisement, even though, yeah, I mean, we're here to market our companies and there's no shame in the game with that. But it's way more of, we took time to have this conversation, to produce it, to give people a little bit of insight of where the market's already at. This isn't a
Oh,
where the market's going anymore. This is
I
the
mean,
market's already
yeah.
there.
I mean, it's amazing. Like even, like we're not going to go political on certain things, but let's go political into like the marketing and advertising campaigns that just happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you have little kids just like me. I showed my boy the cover of the Wall Street Journal because I still get the print edition of paper, so I know what goes on throughout the world. I
Right.
showed him the picture of Trump working at McDonald's. What does my 7-year-old say? He goes, "That guy's hilarious." And you better
Right.
believe a lot of other people around the country thought that. He's like, yeah, it's like he's making French fries, my kid's favorite. Like we all love a McDonald's French fry. He's at the window handing them out. Joe Rogan, top podcast in the
Mm-hmm.
country, hands down. Which candidate was on it? Which candidate wasn't on it?
Yeah, that was a big play. And again, 6 or 7 years ago when Joe Rogan was first doing that show, I don't know that he had very many listeners. But
Oh
now
yeah.
he's got some kind of $100 million contract or something with Spotify. That's crazy. And that's also on top of the fact that he broadcasts for the UFC, that he does his
Hmm.
own comedy shows. He's got affiliations and affiliate marketing with Onnit, nutritional supplements, and who knows whatever else, kettlebell
Yeah.
companies and all this kind of stuff. Why? Because he built a brand with his name attached to it, and he's able to, and this is a key for people, he is able to be a revenue generating wheel, a piece of bigger machines. So I've always said this as an MC. People are like, does it bother you that you're never on the poster of the conference? And I'm like, well, no. Is Joe Rogan or Bruce Buffer on the poster of the UFC fights? No, they're part of the
No.
team. They're part of
Yeah.
the UFC team. And if you can become a part of people's teams as a marketer or as a digital producer or a ads guy, SEO guy, like you guys do, or organic or wherever it is, you've got your piece needs to fit into the machine and help the machine run better, whether that's the
Oh,
UFC or what. That's where you bring the value. And I think that people always want that upfront recognition when really you need to
mhm.
give the upfront value, and the recognition always comes after you help people get results.
Oh, for sure. I even just to go back to Joe Rogan though, he hit the Mount Everest of social media
Oh,
influence, and
yeah.
it didn't happen overnight. And look, he had the most powerful man in the world essentially on his podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it wasn't even, he didn't pay for it either. It was literally like voluntarily like, let's orchestrate it, let's make this thing happen. And it's amazing. And what did it take? It took
I
years of
wonder how
hustle,
many views
years of
that has,
production.
too. Let me
Oh, I
look
think
that up
that
while we're
was
talking.
well over 200 million podcast listeners at this stage. But I mean, look, Joe Rogan used to be the Fear Factor guy. He
Uh
started
huh.
back in the day, and then I saw him live on Improv, and when I saw him live at Improv, I was like, oh, it's the Fear Factor guy. And he had his podcast like kind of like starting out.
Hmm.
He had Elon Musk on his podcast, and you talk about guests and like influence. He's, I would say he's like the Barbara Walters of our time
Well, yeah,
almost,
he's almost like the
get
he's
any
almost
interview.
like the Oprah Winfrey of podcasting. Like I think that Oprah was I think she is. She is the biggest talk show host ever. Every
Ever.
kid my age, I was literally talking to my mom about this when I was in Vegas. I'm hosting an event, and I'm like, dude, any kid in America would come home and their mom had Oprah on after school. Like you just had to
Yep.
deal with it, folding laundry and watching Oprah. Like that was how I grew up, and there was no choice. If I didn't like it, go play outside. Because back then there was no internet or any of this. By the way, that interview has 50 million views on YouTube. It's only been up for 3 weeks, and who knows how many that actually is because that's
That's
only one
YouTube.
platform. Yeah.
Yeah, I read it's over 200 million people have listened to it, and that was going into the election, and that was getting people to take a specific action, which is to get
Mm,
out there and vote. I mean, look, that was just absolutely huge. Like the PR campaign toward the end of that campaign was absolutely genius.
it
Everything they
was
orchestrated, like I said, from the McDonald's visit to the Joe Rogan podcast,
to the
I
garbage
believe
truck.
that surely like took it all home. I mean,
It
it's
was
just
hilarious. And like you said, even with your kid can relate to that. Even if he doesn't even know who that person specifically even is. And so how do we as marketers goes right back to Jake Paul. Is Jake Paul on the same level as Mike Tyson as a boxer? Absolutely not. But if you go back and you look, that was probably one of Mike Tyson's biggest paydays ever in history if we go back and look. In fact, I'll just do
mm,
it because now we got these phones. Watch this.
I'm not sure about that, but Jake Paul's also
What
leveraged
was
this into a
Mike
Conor
Tyson's
Mc.
biggest payday in boxing ever? Here we go. So,
Well, like I
okay.
said, Jake Paul took this. He already parlayed Tyson into a Conor McGregor challenge, so we'll
Mm,
see where that one goes. But I mean, it's he doesn't rest on his laurels. He's literally taking the content, parlaying it to that next level, and he's going to
right.
continue to like escalate the levels as to like influence there. And the beautiful, amazing thing is these guys, they've never bought a second from ABC, NBC,
Mm-mm.
Fox, CBS,
And
never,
they'll
not
take the
1 second
clips, like we said, they'll
of
take the
them.
clip, tag it, and then use it in their broadcast. And all they're doing is promoting it. It's
For free.
unbelievable. So, total, he's made about 400 million as a boxer. He did $20 million off that fight, guaranteed.
Mhm.
And the most he ever made in a fight was when he beat Michael Spinks in 1988. That was worth roughly around 53 million today. I don't know what that was back then, but dude,
Mhm.
out of $400 million that he's made as a career in boxing, he's 58 now. He won the heavyweight title as the youngest champion, I think, at 20 years old. That's about 38 years. Well, 20 of the 400 was just the other night. That's a pretty large percentage on one fight.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and then the influence he gets going forward, I mean, it's just going to be, he's going to be able to carry his brands for the next 10, 20 years. He's 58 right now.
Mm-hmm.
That just, exponentially put him back on the radar.
Oh yeah,
He's,
his relevance is through
you
the
know,
roof. Everybody
oh,
wanted to see him win the other night. And by the
everybody
way,
did want his Vegas definitely probably won big time
I still
on that
think
fight.
both guys kind of held back. I don't think either one of those guys was going to pull the trigger all the way. And I
Yeah.
actually will say credit to Jake Paul at the end for showing respect to Iron Mike. Mike went out there and he did his thing. It was a little bit of a scrimmage compared to a Super Bowl showdown, but I mean, they gave the fans the best that they could give. And I give a lot of props to Mike Tyson for going out there and doing what he needed to do. And he was in great shape, I thought.
Well,
His legs weren't there like they were when he was young, but dude, I watched.
well, Pat,
I
do you know where
watched.
yeah, I definitely watched as well. Do you know where I think the biggest KO, the biggest knockout happened?
Where?
Traditional media. Literally, man. I was at a sports bar and people were watching laptops and they're watching their phones.
Yep.
That's probably what it looks like when they're watching sports on a Saturday or Sunday. That's what people are doing these days when they're in restaurants, when they're doing things. Like literally, traditional media got knocked out
Well,
during
and
that fight.
let's talk about how we communicate with other entrepreneurs. It's through Facebook groups, Zoom
Hmm.
calls. This is a Zoom call that I can now pull into my broadcasting software. You're on Zoom, and I can stream it to all the different platforms, and it looks and sounds way better than Zoom. But even this company, Ecamm, realized, well, Zoom's really convenient for people. How do we make it so that our advanced broadcaster Macintosh dork users like Pat Hilton can bring any Zoom call into the platform and stream it, and it's going to give me the recording, the separate tracks, the separate video tracks. Everything is separated when we finish so that I can go back and edit it and use the clips. They know
Oh,
exactly what
yeah.
they're doing with this software.
And we even talked about, how like the largest organizations in the world right now, they're discounting a little bit of quality and like, streaming and everything just because they know the future of the technology or the reach and the audiences that
Mm-hmm.
they can be hitting.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was saying to you earlier, like there's nothing worse than an Amazon Prime broadcast right now of Thursday Night Football. Like this is the NFL, like the
All right, I
largest,
gotta
most
now. I gotta
iconic.
go watch on Thursday just to see.
To go watch. I mean, the coverage is as if they couldn't go hire somebody from Fox or CBS to pick up on like how to cover an NFL
It's
game. But
pretty bad,
between
huh?
between like the lack of like ability to see where a timeout is on the screen or just like replays or the lag that you get in a game. But I'm saying the NFL, the most like even the NBA just gave up rights to like the Amazon, and Amazon doesn't even have it together yet when it comes to streaming. So like I
Interesting.
said, the largest brands in America are taking their brands and putting it in the hands of Amazon, trusting that they will get better at bandwidth, better at streaming as they go forward here, just as we saw with the Tyson Paul fight. It wasn't flawless, but
Well, and we have to adapt. That's why we're doing this. I mean, we could do these. We could do these every single week if we want to. Maybe we will because I think it's important.
yeah,
We could have these conversations, give people a ton of value, and then when they want someone for SEO or paid ads marketing, they can call you. When they want someone to get that organic shot done, they come and they come through the hub. I mean, there's so much
yeah, they go to your
opportunity.
content hub.
It's
So it's
so it's right in front of everybody. And,
oh,
and Lincoln Park. You know the band Lincoln Park. I like a lot of
I
their
love
music.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So the lead singer passed away. They replaced the singer, got a new chick singer. She's pretty good, got a great voice. And the way that they announced that they were back together and that a new album coming was by doing a live stream concert on Facebook for free,
That's awesome.
like 2 months ago. And so they rocked the place. They had all the different cameras. I mean, they have a huge budget, right? So this room looked awesome. The
But
broadcast was really, really good. And then everyone was like, oh my gosh, Lincoln Park's back. It got hundreds of millions of views.
well,
Brilliant.
we've talked about budgets that go into like literally digital media creation, versus like traditional media creation. I say the same thing with physical stores. Like organizations still spend more money on traditional physical footprints than they do their digital footprint. But going back to
Crazy.
like media production and content, I assure you, whatever Lincoln Park spent was less than renting a venue and putting together like
Totally.
the tour equipment. It might have been like a large sum for like digital media creation budget perspectives, but yeah, look at Mr. Beast. Like his playbook was released and leaked on the internet. Like they go ham on the budgets. Like they'll spend a significant amount of money on budgets, but the significant amount of money is nothing compared to what they spend on traditional media production in this day and
Totally.
age.
I'm gonna
Literally lopsided. Makes
I'm
no
pulling up the
sense to me.
stream to see how many views it got. I'm trying to scroll back. I mean, dude, their stuff's
Oh, the
got
Lincoln Park stream.
so many views, just even from the clips. I'll find it,
Well,
but millions of
yeah,
views.
we've just talked about the number of like stars and income producers, like even the Grant Cardones of the world. I mean, look at the influence, the businesses that have, literally, dovetailed off of his social media influence. And it's continued production, continued creation of content.
Yeah,
And I'm
and
sure
go ahead.
there's a question I get asked, like, how do I start? Or like, what content should I be producing? And I have an answer, and my answer is start producing putting content out there today. Because I assure you, whatever you do today is not going to be the same thing you're doing in a year. You're
Hmm.
going to evolve with your audience. You're going to evolve with the people you want to attract. I mean, what's your answer to that question?
That's actually what I was going to say was like, you have to start. I mean, every single person that we're referencing or every single person that we're talking about that's big or that's getting the big brand deals, they all started with 0 followers, 0 likes, and 0 views. So we all
True.
start from the same place. And I think that's the hardest part for people. I think that January 1st is right around the corner, and a lot of people are going to feel awkward going to the gym. My buddy Chris Cavallini says this really well. He's in great shape, he's CEO of Nutrition Solutions. And he's like, dude, no one who's in shape is looking at you and thinking this person's out of shape. They're looking at you and thinking, hey, good for you for being here. Successful
Yeah.
people don't tear other people down. Successful people look at someone who's willing to put in the effort and they say, wow, yeah, I remember when I had 0 likes, 0 followers, 0 comments, but I got started in here. How can I help you? How can I help you get in better shape? Or how can I help you get more views? Or how can I help you get more SEO rankings? Successful people don't tear people down. They're looking for ways to either collaborate or help you compete at a higher level through collaboration. That's the game.
1000%.
Got to get
1000%.
started. That's the
Correct.
biggest mountaintop for people is just hitting record and then having the confidence to post it.
I
It's tough for
agree.
people. I get it. I mean, you got to look at yourself. You got to see how you look, see how you sound. I mean, Layla Harmozy always talks about how she like gets comments. People make fun of the way her voice sounds. I never really noticed it. I just focus on the great content that she puts out. But I don't know. That can be a pain point for a lot of people is how they look or how they sound. Thank God she continues to publish stuff because it's so good. But I mean, that can be a factor for people. People are haters on the internet, and you'll never meet someone on the internet anyway. It's Joe Blow sitting in mom's basement commenting, saying something negative about a woman
Oh,
like that who's got hundreds of $1 million worth of exits under their belt. And usually it's just important to remember that when you're doing something at a high level and you're winning, there's always going to be somebody that doesn't like it. That's
true.
part of the game.
Fact. Fact.
Part of the game. So, yeah, our job as marketers and as agency owners is to encourage you to take action. Whether you work with us or whether you start yourself, it's a job for all of us to do. And so we want to make sure we're going live, we're using the tools, we're showing you how to
Oh, we
do it.
got it's all right here, man. You could just start today, tomorrow, just start yourself.
It's
But
so
I,
true.
I mean, to wrap it back to where I think we could, this has definitely been fun, but I mean, definitely it all started with that fight this weekend, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's like as we used to play NBA Jam as kids, it was the nail in the coffin for traditional media.
Yep.
Don't be tricked by media sales reps that are just like, oh, the viewers are here, there. No, we know exactly where they are. Our kids consume this media.
Mm-hmm.
We consume this media. Unfortunately, as a parent, like I feel like sometimes I have this thing in front of me way too much. It's
Mm-hmm.
like and it's just, as a role model, just got to put it away or just make believe it's not there. And my mind feels better when it's not there. But I, why are we avoiding the fact that we know where the eyes are? We know what they're doing.
Yeah,
We know
and
how
I
they're
think that
consuming it.
the more we have these conversations, the more people are just going to accept the fact that if they're not putting out content and they're not searchable, that somebody
Yeah.
else is going to be who gets clicked on and who gets the deals.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. The
I
old
say
guard
it all the
is,
time, man. I say it all the time. There's a lot of people that are way better business people than me. They've made more money than me. Maybe they're better looking than me. They're better speakers than me. But I continue to get gigs and I continue to succeed on stages and with business people because I found a way to be a piece of the machine. It doesn't. None of those other factors matter. It's how does this guy integrate within my community, and does he help me and the rest of the people around me succeed? And if that answer is yes for you, you have an unlimited amount of people that you can work with.
well, we know success is a marathon.
It
It doesn't
is.
happen overnight. For every overnight success, there's been 10 years of work, 10 or 20, 30 years of work put in before they actually hit it. Even like there was a post about George Clooney the other day, how like basically, I think he gifted like friends and family that all helped him through his hard years, $1 million each of just like
Oh,
they paid the
wow.
taxes on it too because they helped him. They believed in him all the way through. It's just you hear about stories like that all the time where it's just, a little bit of belief, a little bit of a trust system. Even, LeBron James had, he had like a group of like four guys that they all, you know, basically floated each other out of the situation that they were in to get to that
Mm.
next level. There's always a backstory of success where people just think, oh, it happened overnight or oh, it's just given to them. Like, no, there's many people where things are just given to them and they just light it on fire and it's gone tomorrow.
Yeah, totally.
It's that it's just, it's just,
I
making
love
and
that you brought up LeBron
succeeding.
because as like a Jordan era NBA fan, you're always comparing people to Jordan and Jordan's better than everybody, blah blah blah. But it's an era that's different eras. There was a Jordan era, there was a Kobe era, and we're kind of living in the LeBron era. And where LeBron
Hmm.
won Pat Hilton's heart was when he played in the Olympics, right? So he was on the Olympic basketball team, and there was some sport. I don't remember what it was. It was like not the most popular sport. And dude,
Hmm.
Bron Bonds in the audience cheer. It was like the volleyball team or like whatever team, and he was just sitting there enjoying the game, rooting for the old USA. And I'm like, you know what? How can you hate on this guy?
He even like has players that come up and like give him a hug that are just like you were my role model like
Dude is
watching when I was
unbelievable.
a kid where he's inspired them to take their dreams to the next
It's
level with the
great.
NBA.
It's
Yeah,
great.
it's definitely great.
And so you always got to try to, especially moving into next year with us, we want to be online, we want to be marketing self. Got to try and focus on the positives. There's so much focus in the media on the negative over the last, I don't know, 10 years. And I've noticed that that focus is starting to backfire. It doesn't convert. It does not
No,
attract the
no.
right people. It does not get good core people around you. And the messaging is off. People are moving away from that like diss movement into how do I focus on the positive? Because life's hard
Well,
for everybody.
yeah. Yeah, it's I said it to one of my team members today because we were talking about like different forms of media and I was just like, look, man, I was like, I know what I trust, what I would invest our dollars in, where we have to focus. And like I said, like I know where the eyes are. It's
Mm-hmm.
like we both know it's like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Like we know we can get viewers on those platforms on an organic basis or on a paid basis. Like
Mm-hmm.
we don't need to deviate or look anywhere else. It's just like as I've sold search, it's always been Google first and then maybe Bing. But like outside of that, like I'm not buying this like meta crawlers or like trying to get into third tier search engines.
No.
Like it doesn't do well by our clients. And but like back to what you're saying about like just like positivity and just yeah, I don't care if negativity sells. It's like it ain't the way to
It
win
doesn't
friends. It's just
convert.
that yeah.
Not only it can get eyeballs, but does it actually convert? If it does convert, I don't know that it necessarily brings the right audience.
I believe exactly what you're
That's
saying, man.
my
I
opinion.
definitely
I mean, you
agree.
see the guys that have the biggest brands. I love WWE just because if you go and you sign a contract with WWE, you're an independent contractor. Just like me, you had to build your own personal brand, your own style, your own microphone style, and all this, and get the audience to like you, or you don't make it in the business. It's way less about how good of a wrestler you are, and it's way more about how great of an entertainer you are.
Well,
And
you
that
need to go check.
changed
Yeah, you
years
need to
ago.
go check out. I believe GQ interviewed The Rock this past week. It was
Dude, The
published.
Rock is still in great shape. And The Rock never would have made it to Hollywood and been as big of a star as he is right now without wrestling, without being great on the microphone back in the day. He was hilarious on Monday Night Raw. Hilarious. I watched him
Huge
for
star.
years. He's
And some of his
unbelievable.
social talk about a guy who's who's dealt with like numerous things and just continued to like conquer his own future. Like he's like he just has dealt with even like personal family issues and like he's gone on to like aspire to who he is today. It's just you listen to his story about like how he's gotten to where he is and where he's going. He's just been like focus. He's had intention, determination, just, really structured his own success.
And
Amazing
dude,
story there.
one of the biggest characters he's ever played, and Justin Timberlake, this goes for him too, and it goes right back to our topic today of streaming, is the character from Moana. The Maui from Moana is The Rock. And guess how everybody saw that movie? Live streaming on Disney Plus. And
Yep.
Trolls, Justin Timberlake is the main character in the Trolls series, and that blew up on streaming services because there's replay value. You can go and you can watch that as many times as you want. My kids are asking me, "Oh my gosh, did you know that the troll is the singer for NSYNC?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, girl, bye. Go to kindergarten." Yes, I know, but dude. JT found a way, The Rock found a way to go from our age bracket to our kids. He's still marketing to the same people. We're still spending our money to consume his content, but now it's actually positioned for our children. So now you've got a whole nother generation of digital streaming heads, our kids, that are growing up watching, following, and consuming content from the same people we were watching 20 years ago.
Well, you're going to have Moana
Brilliant.
here. Thanksgiving, Moana 2 comes out.
We
It's
already
gonna
got tickets, I think.
Do you? Yeah, it's
I
going to be
think.
totally next level as
It's
to
going to be
like just,
huge.
essentially, yeah, the viewership and just it's going to conquer the box office
It's
on a
great.
global
What they
scale.
did with that to create like a cross-generational, cross-cultural movement with that movie is brilliant. They're smart, dude. The
sure.
music's great. And they got the whole thing. The Rock is like the little animated guy. It looks just like The Rock, and he's like the Samoan kind of Hawaiian dude. It's freaking great. It plays just to
Yep.
the character of how he grew up, his dad's WWF story of being The Rock, the big Samoan guy. It's freaking perfect. It's great.
For sure.
So, moral of the story is, folks, get on there, have a conversation on camera. If it makes you feel comfortable getting on camera and having a conversation with someone, do it like this. This is very, very easy to produce. You could even just do it in the Zoom app. So, just to break down how I did this onto my page. So I use a software called Ecamm Live. I think it's like $10 a month or something if you subscribe to it. I bought like a lifetime membership years ago because I knew everybody was going to use it. So you can take a Zoom guest and you can pull it into Ecamm Live and you can stream on any Apple service to any social media service through your Apple computer, or you can use StreamYard. StreamYard.com is a great way to get on a call with someone just like this and broadcast it to all the different platforms. I think that's like $19.99 a month. These solutions are not expensive, and even if you don't have a headset or a microphone or whatever like we do, you could literally use your phone to broadcast. Like Zach said, you could use your phone and just go live on Facebook. It's unbelievable.
Sure.
So
For
get
sure.
out there, ladies and gentlemen. Do it big. Zach Hoffman in the house from Exalts, and your boy Pat Hilton, and we will see you on the next one.
See you.